The silence behind the spotlight set was loud. Cables ran like vines across the floor, and voices clashed with the clatter of equipment. Giant lights beamed down, hot and unforgiving. Extras stood in clusters. Makeup artists dabbed at faces. Someone dropped a clipboard, someone shouted, someone else laughed too loudly. Everything was noise. And in the middle of it all, Ana de Armas sat in a chair by the corner of the soundstage. She held the script in her lap. Her fingers gripped the paper too tightly. The words blurred. Not from the lights, not from tiredness, but from something deeper. Her hands were shaking. No one noticed. Or maybe they did, but they were too busy to care. Time was money. Takes were running behind. The director was pacing like he had fire under his shoes. They were about to shoot. A heavy emotional scene. Ana had done hundreds before, but today felt different. Wrong. Off. She wasn't sure why. Maybe it was the morning call she got. Her mother was unwell again. Maybe it was the way the producer had spoken to her earlier, his voice sharp, his words full of impatience. Or maybe it was just everything piling up, moment after moment, until she could no longer hold it. She blinked fast. She didn't want anyone to see, but someone did. Keanu Reeves had been standing nearby, rehearsing his lines with quiet focus. His calm always stood out on set. He didn't rush, didn't yell, didn't act like he was more important than anyone else. He just was. It's like the center of a still pond, and from that stillness he saw her. He noticed how tightly she gripped the odd script. He noticed the tremble in her hands. He didn't speak right away. Didn't walk over dramatically. He just watched quietly, like someone trying to understand before acting. The director called out, "Okay, positions." Crew members moved into place. Assistants hustled. Lights shifted. Ana stood slowly. Her script slipped from her hands. She bent to pick it up, but her fingers fumbled. The pages scattered. People kept walking. No one stopped, except Keanu. He walked over, bent down, and picked up the pages with slow care. Ana tried to say something, an apology maybe, but her voice caught. Her eyes were shiny, her breathing. Shallow Keanu looked at her, not with pity, not with concern that felt like judgment, but with something simpler, respect. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded. Lied. "I'm fine." He didn't believe her, but he didn't press. He stood up and turned to the set. And then he did something no one expected. He raised his hand, calm and firm, and said to the assistant director, "Stop." The room didn't hear him at first, so he said it again, louder. "Stop." This time, everyone froze. The cameras paused. The director looked confused. A boom mic lowered. Someone whispered, "What's happening?" Keanu walked to the middle of the stage. He didn't shout, didn't explain. He just looked around the set, then turned back to Ana and said, "Take a break." Ana's lips parted slightly. "Keanu, it's okay. He shook his head. "No scene is more important than you. If your hands are shaking, we wait." A heavy silence settled in the studio. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't dramatic. It was respectful. The director walked up, clearly stressed. "We're on a tight." Keanu interrupted gently. "I know. But if we rush through this, we won't get what we need anyway." The director hesitated, then sighed. 5 minutes. It's all I can give." Keanu nodded and turned back to Ana. She didn't know what to say. No one had ever done that for her. Not on a big set like this. Not in front of everyone. She felt her throat tighten again. But this time from something else. Relief. They sat on a crate near the back wall. Just the two of them. The chatter had quieted. People were giving them space, unsure of what to do. Keanu pulled out a small thermos from his bag, handed it to her. "Tea," he said. "You don't have to talk. Just breathe." She took it with trembling fingers. "Thank you." He just smiled. "You know," Ana said softly after a while, "some days I feel like I don't belong here." Keanu nodded slowly. "I know that feeling." She looked at him, surprised. "But you're Keanu Reeves." "And you're Ana de Armas," he replied. She smiled, a small, real one. In that moment, the set faded. The lights didn't matter. Cameras didn't matter. Only the quiet truth that sometimes what people need most isn't a director shouting, "Action," but someone noticing the shake in their hands and stopping everything to let them breathe. That day would be remembered on set not for the scene they filmed, but for the one they didn't. And it was Keanu's silence that made the loudest impact. The weight of quiet thinks. Next morning on set, something had changed. No one said it out loud, but the energy felt softer, less rushed. People spoke in lower voices. The sound crew moved more carefully. Even the director, who was known for his impatience, checked in with actors before each shot. It was as if Keanu's quiet stand the day before had pressed an invisible reset button on everyone. Anna arrived early. She usually didn't. She preferred slipping in right on time, avoiding stares and small talk. But today, something pulled her back sooner. She walked past the makeup trailer and toward the empty part of the set where they hadn't started lighting yet. It was quiet there. The floor still smelled like sawdust. She sat on a wooden box and stared at her hands. They were steady today. But her heart, not yet. She thought of her mother's voice on the phone the day before. Tired, weak. Anna had promised to call again, promised to send something. But in the rush of the shoot, she hadn't yet. Guilt pressed into her ribs like invisible hands. Behind her, footsteps approached. She didn't turn around. Somehow, she already knew who it was. Keanu sat beside her, holding 2 paper cups of coffee. "I guessed right," he said, handing her one. She took it, still looking at the ground. "Thank you. Again, no need," he said. A silence passed. "Comfortable, not heavy. You know," Anna said softly, "I've been on sets where people talk about caring, where they put up signs about mental health and safe spaces. But the moment someone needs a minute, it becomes a problem." Keanu nodded. "A lot of people forget we're human first." Anna sipped the coffee. It was warm, not perfect, but it helped. "How do you stay so calm?" she asked. He looked out across the set. "I don't. Not always. Yes. Just don't let the storm show on the surface." Anna glanced at him. "But yesterday, you made everyone stop, like the world just listened." Smiled faintly, because it should have. Sometimes someone has to remind the world what matters. Anna felt something shift inside her. Not completely healed, not suddenly okay, but lighter. A voice called out from the main set. "We're starting rehearsal." Keanu stood. "Go when you're ready." Anna followed slowly, walking beside him. The day moved gently. Scenes were rehearsed, lines adjusted. Anna delivered her part with more confidence than she expected. The crew noticed, even if they didn't say it. Her performance had more depth. Her eyes held something real, not because she acted harder, but because someone had given her space to feel again. Later that day, while resetting for a night scene, Anna overheard 2 crew members whispering by the soundboard. She was about to break yesterday. Yeah. And Keanu just stopped everything. Man's a different kind of legend. Anna walked past them without saying a word, but the words stuck with her. As the evening wore on, a difficult shot was planned, one where Anna had to cry silently while walking down a hallway. It wasn't about shouting or drama. It was about loneliness. A moment of quiet breakdown, the kind only cameras and shadows could truly capture. Anna stood at her mark. The lights dimmed. The hallway set looked endless. The director called, and action. She began walking. At first, nothing came. Then the hallway started to feel real, like the corridors she used to walk in her childhood home. Late nights, after arguments, after fears. After dreams felt too far, she remembered the first time she told her mother she wanted to act. Our mother said, "But why? That world will break you." Anna kept walking, her eyes burned. The tears came, no sound, only silence. And truth. When the director yelled, "Cut," there was a long pause before anyone spoke. "That was perfect," he said. Quietly, someone clapped. Then, a few more. Anna looked up and saw Keanu watching from behind the monitor. He didn't smile wide or cheer, just nodded, like someone who had seen someone else rise. After wrap, as the crew packed up and the lights dimmed, Anna walked to her dressing room. Keanu was leaning against the wall nearby, sipping tea. That scene, he said, you didn't just act. You gave something. Anna laughed gently. I think I had something left to give because of what you did yesterday? Keanu shrugged. That's what we're supposed to do. Hold the door open. Make space. Most people don't, and we be the ones who do, he said. Anna looked at him. You always this wise? Smiled. Only when people are listening. She turned to go inside. He added, call your mom. She paused, surprised. You mentioned her yesterday, he said. She's probably waiting to hear your voice. Anna nodded. Her eyes softened. I will. That night, Anna didn't just call her mother. She stayed on the phone for hours. They laughed. They cried. They remembered old stories. Her mother sounded better, stronger. Maybe not physically, but emotionally. Maybe hearing her daughter sound whole gave her something too. Anna ended the call with a promise. I'll see you soon. As she hung up, she looked out the window of her trailer. The lot was dark. Only a few lights remained, and in the distance, Keanu was walking alone toward the lot exit. Hands in his pockets, quiet as ever, he had changed the entire rhythm of her world with one small act of kindness. And somehow, he didn't need anyone to notice. The things we carry quietly 2 days later, Anna sat on the floor of her trailer with her back against the wall and her knees pulled close to her chest. The sun hadn't risen yet. She had woken up too early again, her body heavy with thoughts. The call with her mother had helped. It really had. But now the weight was different. It wasn't fear for her mother. Something else. Something old. Something buried. Memories. She stared at the small notebook in her hands. It was her private one. The one she never showed. Anyone. Not her agent. Not even her closest friends. In it were scribbles, lines she wrote in the middle of the night, thoughts that didn't fit anywhere else. Broken sentences. Old griefs. Questions about herself she didn't dare say aloud. The page today had only one line. I wonder who I would be if I hadn't always tried to prove I was enough. There was a knock on her trailer door, Anna. 5 minutes. To call. She closed the notebook gently, placed it under her pillow, and stood. When she stepped onto the set, everything looked colder. Maybe it was the early hour. Maybe it was the fog machine prepping for the dream sequence. Maybe it was just how she felt inside. Keanu was already there. He was seated on the steps of the stage set, sipping something from a paper cup, looking like he had been awake for hours. He didn't look tired, though, just thoughtful. Anna walked over, and he looked up. Morning, he said simply. Is it? She asked with a small smile. He handed her his spare teacup. It will be. They sat there for a few minutes in silence, watching crew members roll in and adjust equipment. No rush, no tension. Just breath and fog and quiet. You ever feel like you're carrying too much, but don't even know what half of it is? Anna finally asked. Keanu nodded. Most days. What do you do with it? He looked ahead, then said, I remind myself it's not all mine. Some of it was handed to me. Some of it I picked up by mistake. Some of it I can set down. Anna. Breathe deeply. You're like a monk sometimes, she said. I'm just someone who's fallen down a lot and had to figure out how to stand again. Anna smiled at that. She liked his honesty. He never claimed to have the answers, just made room for questions. The day's filming was challenging, emotionally draining. Anna had to shoot a scene where her character watches a loved one walk away and says nothing. No big dialogue. No music cue. Just eyes and breath and pain. As the camera rolled, something inside her cracked open. She didn't act the pain, she remembered it. The day she left Cuba, the night she sat alone in a Los Angeles apartment with no one to call. The moment someone once told her she'd never make it unless she changed everything about herself. The tears came easily. When the director said, "Cut," there was silence again. No one moved. Keanu approached from behind the monitor. He didn't say much, just gave her a soft nod, the kind that said, "I saw you." And that was brave. During lunch break, they found a quiet spot outside near the edge of the lot. Anna sat on a step, eating slowly. Keanu sat beside her with a container of rice and vegetables. You ever feel like acting drains your real self? Anna asked suddenly. He thought for a second. Not if you know who your real self is. And if you don't, then maybe the job shows you. Anna looked down. What if I don't like what it shows? Keanu set down his fork and turned. To her, then that's your power. You get to change the story. She didn't respond right away. His words stayed with her, like warm light through a window. After lunch, they had a break before the next sequence. Anna pulled out her notebook and began writing. Not lines, not poetry, just truths. It's okay to slow down. Some mistakes were not mine to carry. I can ask for help. I don't have to pretend today. When she looked up, Keanu was watching her. From across the lot, gave her a quiet thumbs up, like he could feel the shift happening inside her. That evening, as the crew wrapped, Anna felt something surprising. Hope. Not big, not loud. Just enough to keep going as she left the lot. She saw Keanu walking toward his motorcycle, helmet in hand. Hey, she called out. He turned. Thank you, not just for the other day. For everything since. He smiled. You've been doing the real work. I just made space. Anna stepped closer. Why do you do it? Help people like this? Paused. Then said, because once someone helped me when they didn't have to, and I've never forgotten how much it mattered. Anna watched him ride off into the quiet night, and in her heart something strong began to rise, not because someone saved her, but because someone reminded her she didn't have to save herself alone. When the world isn't watching 3 weeks passed, the film was halfway through production. The hard scenes had been shot, toughest lines delivered, but something unexpected was happening, not just in the story they were making, but behind. The cameras to Anna had changed. People on set noticed it in small ways. She no longer kept to herself between takes. She smiled more. Laughed even. She checked in on younger crew members. Once, when a lighting assistant dropped a stand and got yelled at, Anna stepped in and said, It's okay. We'll all mess up sometimes. Her voice wasn't sharp, just steady. And when that same assistant came to thank her later, she said, I'm just trying to be the kind of person I needed when I started. The truth was, Keanu's quiet kindness had lit something inside her. Not just gratitude, but awareness. She had realized how much she, too, could affect the people around her. Not through fame or talent, but through gentleness. But even with all this growth, there were still moments. Moments when the old fears came back like shadows. Moments when doubt knocked on the door of her thoughts and whispered, You're not enough. One of those moments came late on a Friday evening. The team was shooting a night scene in a park. Rain machines were being set up. Actors were in there. Second costumes. Makeup was being redone under umbrellas. The director wanted it perfect. Anna was supposed to deliver a monologue under artificial rain. Tears blending with water, voice trembling just enough to seem natural. She had practiced it, memorized it, rehearsed it again and again. But when the cameras rolled, something inside her froze. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Not a word. The rain fell. The cameras rolled. The director yelled, Cut. People. Whispered. Anna stepped off the mark, soaked to her skin. Her breathing was fast, her chest tight. The assistant director walked up quickly, frustration clear. We don't have time for this. We're all ready. And then, once again, Keanu was there, without saying a word. He stepped between the assistant and Anna. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He just said calmly, We need a minute. The assistant opened his mouth to protest, but something in Keanu's eyes made him stop. Anna walked toward the edge of the set, where the fake rain didn't reach. Her clothes stuck to her skin. She sat down on a bench, drenched and cold. Keanu followed and sat beside her. Can't. Do it, she said softly. He didn't answer. I don't know why. I practiced. I felt ready. And now, nothing. He nodded slowly. Sometimes the words hide when your heart is too full. She looked at him. And if it doesn't come back, then we wait, he said. Anna leaned back, breathing slowly. They're all watching. They've watched people fall before, Keanu said. What they rarely see is someone stand back up. Anna closed her eyes. The sound of rain filled the silence between them. After a while, she whispered, "When you were younger, do you ever feel like this?" Keanu nodded. "Many times." "Helped? Someone told me you're not here to be perfect. You're here to be real?" Anna smiled faintly. "Do you remember the words?" he asked. She nodded. "I do." "Then maybe say them. Not to the camera this time. Just say them to yourself." Anna looked ahead. The rain had stopped. Someone was adjusting lights. But for a moment, nothing else mattered. She stood up, closed her eyes. "Okay," and softly whispered the monologue to herself. No pressure, no camera, just breath. And when she opened her eyes, she was ready. They rolled again, and this time she didn't act. The pain, she released it. When the take was done, there was no applause, no shouting, just stillness. Everyone knew they had captured something real. After wrap, Anna found Keanu again. He was standing near the trailers, drying his hair with a towel. "You were right," she said. He raised an eyebrow. "I wasn't here to be perfect." He smiled, "And you weren't." She paused. "Thank you for protecting me again?" Shook his head. "You protected yourself." "I just gave the moment space." Anna thought about that. She understood now. His kindness was never loud, never controlling. It just made room for people to rise. "You know," she said, "the more I learn about you, the more I wonder how many people you've helped quietly." Keanu laughed softly. "I don't keep count. Maybe you should." He looked up at the stars just starting to appear in the sky. "I don't do it to be remembered. I do it so others can remember themselves." Anna felt that in her bones as they walked back toward the trailers. She knew something had shifted inside her again. It wasn't about acting anymore. It was about how she wanted to live. Things worth holding on to. The final week of shooting began with early calls and late wraps. The whole team felt the pressure. Deadlines, reshoots, retakes, the usual chaos of film production. But underneath all that stress, something else was. Growing a kind of quiet unity, the set had become calmer. Not because people stopped working hard, but because something had changed in the way they treated each other. More eye contact, more patience, more checking in. And almost all of it had started that one day. When Keanu noticed Anna's hands were shaking, Anna was different now too. She didn't rush anymore. She didn't pretend when she was tired. She didn't hide her feelings just to seem strong. Instead, she did something even harder. She shared them one afternoon. During a break between scenes, Anna sat under a tree outside the studio lot, writing again in her notebook. Her hair was messy. Her sweater had a coffee stain. But her eyes were clear, she wrote. "I used to think strength meant hiding everything. I think strength is letting someone see you when you're not okay." Just as she finished the line, Keanu walked over holding 2 small lunchboxes. He handed one to her, without a word, and sat down beside her on the grass. "Tofu and rice," he said. "I added too much chili, though," Anna laughed. "You always bring extra? You always forget to eat?" Ate in silence for a while then. Anna said, "Do you ever get scared before a scene?" "All the time," Keanu replied. "You never?" "Show it. Doesn't mean it's not there." Anna nodded. "How do you push through?" "I stopped trying to impress," he said. "And I just try to tell the truth." She looked down. "Sometimes I wonder if I even know what my truth is." "You do," he said softly. "You just haven't learned to trust it yet." Anna closed her eyes for a moment, letting his words settle inside her. That evening, they shot one of the final scenes of the film, a farewell between 2 characters who had been through pain, silence, love, and loss. Anna's character was supposed to give a final line before turning and walking. Away forever. The scene had no music. No cuts. It was meant to feel raw and quiet. When the camera rolled, Anna stood opposite Keanu in the soft evening light. The air was still. Everything else faded. She looked at him not just through the lens of her character, but as herself. So much had happened. Not just in the story, but in her life. On this set. In the moments no one would ever see on screen. And when it was time for the line, she didn't say it like it was on paper. She said it like it had come from her soul. I'm going to carry this, even if no one else understands. Turned, walked slowly away, and when the director called cut, no one spoke. Not for a while. Anna walked off the set and sat down quietly behind the monitor. Her eyes were damp, but not broken. Keanu followed. He didn't say anything, just sat next to her and handed her a tissue. I wasn't acting, Anna said softly. I know, Keanu replied. The next day after wrap, the crew gathered for one final dinner. Laughter filled the room. Stories were shared, gifts exchanged. And for once, no one talked about deadlines or box office numbers. They talked about moments, about how they felt seen, about how the set had felt. It's different, safer, Anna stood to give. A short thank you. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with honesty. This film helped me remember who I was before I tried to become what everyone wanted, and that happened. Not because of the script or the scenes. It happened because someone noticed when I couldn't hold it together, and instead of walking away, he made everyone stop. She looked at Keanu. His expression was calm, kind, the same as always. The room clapped, not wildly, just warmly, like everyone was clapping, not for the film, but for each other. That night, Anna packed up her trailer. She found the notebook with all her scattered thoughts and added one final line at the bottom. I will never forget the silence that saved me. The kind of silence that speaks the movie wrapped. The sets came down. The lights were packed away. Within a few days, the crew had moved on to other jobs, other stories, other sets. The lot that once buzzed with voices and camera clicks was quiet. Now, just an empty space with scattered footprints and faint memories in the air. But not all stories end when the cameras stop rolling. Anna didn't fly out immediately. She stayed in town for a few extra days. There was something unfinished inside her. Not about the film, but about the change it had sparked. One morning, she walked to a small cafe 2 blocks from the studio. She wore a hoodie and sunglasses. Not because she was hiding, but because she didn't want attention. She wanted stillness. When she stepped inside, she saw him, Keanu, alone, at a corner table with a book and a cup of tea. He looked up and smiled. Figured you'd show up. Anna laughed. What gave it away? You've been quiet for 3 days? That usually means something's about to come out. She sat down across from him. You were right. He nodded. About what? About the silence. About what it can hold. They sat there for a while, not talking much. Just sipping tea and watching the morning light pour through the window. Finally, Anna said, I used to think silence was the enemy. Like if I wasn't talking, if I wasn't proving something, then I was failing. A lot of people feel that. Way, Keanu said. We're taught to fill every space. But silence saved me, she whispered. Your silence, your calm. You didn't try to fix me. You didn't lecture me. You just made space. Keanu smiled gently. Everyone needs a place to breathe. I want to be that for others, she said, not just on set, everywhere. You already are, he said. Anna leaned back. Thinking, then she pulled out her notebook, the same one she had written in every day on set. She tore out one page, folded it carefully, and slid it across the table to him. What's this? He asked. Something to remind you that what you do matters, she said. Even when no one says it. He opened the page. It read, Because you noticed, I remembered myself. Because you were quiet, I found my voice. Because you made everyone stop, I started again. Keanu read it slowly, then folded it back and slipped it into his coat pocket without a word. They walked out of the cafe together. The world outside was busy. People hurrying, cars rushing, horns, voices, footsteps. But between them, there was peace. Anna turned to him. You think people can really change? Keanu looked ahead. I think the kind of change that lasts isn't loud. It's slow. It's quiet. Like learning to trust your own breath again. Anna nodded, and they walked on side by side. No spotlight. It's no camera. Just 2 people, quietly holding space for the world and for each other. And in that quiet, something beautiful stayed. Behind